Welcome to a quick episode of the Essential Health Podcast. Today we'll talk with a leading expert in metabolic health and human physiology. Sebas, thank you very much for joining us.
Anya, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
The last time we spoke, we barely scratched the surface, and I've been eager to continue our conversation. There are so many trends in the wellness world right now and so much confusion. So I want to start with a big question. Is there a popular trend or a piece of advice you've heard being repeated lately that you feel is fundamentally misguided or dangerous?
Ozempic.
Ah, of course, the magic shot. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yes, and I want to be very clear, Ozempic is a tool and it works. The problem is that it works so well, and when you get relatively easy results, it's very difficult not to opt for that measure.
So let's break that down. What are the advantages and, more importantly, the disadvantages of a drug like Ozempic?
The advantage is that it definitively helps people eat less. Without a doubt, it functions. In fact, many people with fertility issues are resolving them simply by losing weight with the drug. We know that excess weight negatively affects fertility. So we're seeing more and more of what people are calling Ozempic babies, because the mother, for example, lost 20 or 30 kilos using it. So the problem isn't the drug itself, and it's not the person for whom it is indicated, which is someone who is a candidate for bariatric surgery but is choosing a more conservative measure first. That's a perfectly valid choice. The real problem is in the consequences of how it works for everyone else.
Okay, so what are those consequences? What is the unseen damage?
The problem is that the drastic calorie reduction it causes is often accompanied by less exercise because you have less energy. People forget that when you eat 50% less than you used to, you only have 50% of the energy. You produce energy from macronutrients. When you don't consume them, you have less energy. It's harder to go to the gym, harder to maintain that essential muscle mass. So when you create such a drastic reduction in calories, what ends up happening is you start to lose bone mass and you start to lose muscle mass. And why do you lose muscle even more than fat? Because muscle is a more metabolically active tissue. It costs your body more calories to maintain your muscle than your fat because it does more things. So when you are in a significant calorie deficit, your body has to choose what tissue to eliminate, and it will often choose the most metabolically expensive one if you are not actively using it. This is why it is so relevant to go to the gym when you want to lose weight, to send that molecular signal to your body that says, hey, I need this muscle, leave it alone. Get the energy from the fat.
This explains so much. I have two specific questions about this. First, is this the mechanism behind the famous rebound effect? And does reducing my calories actually slow down my metabolism so that when I go back to eating normally, I can no longer burn the same amount?
Yes, that happens without a doubt. It's a historical myth that is actually true. When you reduce your caloric intake, you have less energy available, and you must strategically choose how to distribute it. Therefore, your basal metabolic rate reduces. That's why the logical approach should be to make weight loss more gradual so you can have a smaller calorie reduction and you're not left without energy, losing muscle.
So the problem isn't the drug, it's that it creates a shortcut that bypasses the most important part, building good habits.
Exactly. The biggest problem has to do with the generation of habits. If I can lose weight while eating Oreos, why would I learn to eat better? I'm already a person with naturally low willpower, and I'm fighting against an environment that is everything against me to change that habit. So naturally, what we see is that if I stop using the drug and I'm a person with bad habits and 30 kilos of excess fat, it will be very improbable that I change those habits during my use of Ozempic. The moment I suspend its use, and at some point I have to, I will rebound in terms of weight, not because of a hormonal issue, but because of bad habits.
I want to dig into something you mentioned earlier that I think is a huge myth for so many people. We hear about the importance of exercise, but can you explain the real relationship between working out, gaining muscle, and sleep?
This is one of the most important concepts for everyone to understand. People mistakenly believe that muscle development happens when you are lifting the weight. It doesn't. When you are lifting, what you generate is mechanical tension and metabolic damage in the muscle fibers. That damage needs to be repaired. So during the exercise, you are spending energy and you are actually in a catabolic phase, a destruction of tissue. The phase that actually builds the muscle is the anabolic phase of your day. This is the phase when you are not exercising, not spending, and that energy is being used to repair tissues. In this case, to repair the muscle so it becomes stronger and grows.
And when does this anabolic phase happen?
It can happen if you're resting on the couch after a meal, yes, but in reality, it happens most powerfully during sleep. And not just any sleep. The timing is critical. Your body has pulses of hormone release, testosterone, growth hormone, that maximize this muscle development. If you aren't sleeping, for example, at 1 or 2 a.m. when you're supposed to get that testosterone pulsed, you will miss it. You will miss the majority of that hormone's release, which will negatively impact your muscle development. So you not only want to sleep well, you want to be sleeping at the correct time to maximize this process.
So what I'm hearing is there are no shortcuts. The foundation of a healthy metabolism is strong muscle, and the foundation of strong muscle is good habits and deep restorative sleep. Dr. Sebas, this has been incredibly clarifying. Thank you.
My pleasure, Anya. The goal is always sustainable health, not temporary results.